episode of Rugby with Pads. I am recording on Wednesday, the 30th of April. You are listening to this probably on the 4th of May. I'm kind of using this as a bit of a point in time and see if this prediction comes true. It's not a prediction as such, but see if some of these thoughts come true. What I want to do today is off the back of the NFL drafts, of course, finished last week. All great. Hopefully some of you guys should be going into rookie drafts. Rookie drafts being incredibly important this time of year if you're a Dynasty fan. If you're not a Dynasty fan, maybe this isn't the episode for you, but if you're a Dynasty fan and you want to see how I think of these things, you're in the right place. So we're going to do a first round of the a 12-team standard 1QB league, and then we're going to take a look, a little bit of advanced preview here, at my current draft that I'm in the middle of, and you guys can let me know what you think, and if I'm going in the right direction, see if I can predict what's happening in the draft, go from there. So first things first, I think it's very obvious. Regardless of what happened in the NFL draft, Ashton Jeanty was always going to be the one I want. Generational talent at running back. He is Kamara mixed with Saquon Barkley, mixed with the coming of Jesus H. Christ. Probably going to get flagged for that. But he is a very, very good running back. And I think upon that, we can all very much agree. So I'm putting him as number one. He is the most obvious prospect. I talked before the draft about if he goes to the Raiders, does he potentially dip in value? He doesn't. He's going to get such volume. Volume is key. He's going to be a top 5 running back this year. He's your fancy 101. You heard it here first, guys. But then there is a drop-off. No doubt about it. And I don't know which way I want to go, but I talked in my running backs episode about the concept of having these Knuckles and Sonic and Knuckles backfields. And that's something that I can really see, and you know what? Ultimately, the NFL is a copycat league. Everyone wants a piece of that. And what I can see them building in Chargers world is that, and I see them doing it with a man, Amarian Hampton. And I really like that. Amarian Hampton is not as skilled as Jahmyr Gibbs. He is not as skilled as Montgomery, potentially. But I think they are going to run the ball an awful lot. And he was taken very high, number 22 by the Chargers. 2,033 all-purpose yards for UNC last year. Yes, they've got Najee to be the bruiser. Maybe he's the kind of short yardage guy, but Amarian Hampton is a very accomplished guy. I think he could be Eckler Mark II for fantasy. He's a step down from Ashton Jeanty, but I don't think as far as a step as what people call him. I would call him a tier 1.5 kind of guy. And we'll think about tiers as well, because tiering is definitely the best way to draft. We're not doing that here today. We are kind of building our general dynasty rankings on the fly here. But with that said, I'm going to have to look at 3 here. And 3 is a very difficult position to look at, because you've got Travis Hunter, potential generational talent, playing both ways, staring right at you. Does it make sense for fantasy? It doesn't for me, I'm afraid. Not quite at this position. Instead, I'm looking at Tetairoa McMillan. I'm looking at the big guy here. I'm looking at everything else. I think it makes sense, and I'll go into why in a minute. But I'm going to put Tetairoa McMillan at number 3 here. He is a 6'5". Yeah, 6'5" prospect, 212 pounds. He is the big target that Bryce Young needs. I think they're going to be pass happy because they have not addressed the defense. Game script is going to play really well into Tetairoa McMillan or T-Mac's favour, and that's where I think he will apply a lot of damage in the fantasy world. Number 4, this is where it definitely drops off. I don't know really where to go with this. You could make an argument for Trevion Henderson if you don't like Ramondre Stevenson. I still do. Make an argument for Quinshon Judkins, but for my money, I think Caleb Johnson has the number 4 slot locked up for me. This is my personal rankings, so we'll go from that. Simply because if you look at him here and you look at the depth chart, I did not mean to go for Caleb Johnson here. I meant to go for someone else. I meant to go, excuse me, I'm going to switch up. Go RJ Harvey. I'm going to dive a little bit. Yes, he's a bit of a later draft pick than some of the other guys on the board that we've talked about here, going 60th overall to the Broncos. But if you look at the depth chart behind him, there's nothing. You know, he is the most highly drafted. Sean Payton likes a bell cow back here. Yes, obviously he used Mark Ingram before. Mark Ingram was never the focal point. Kamara was. I think Harvey, with his Swiss Army knife capabilities, could be that guy. I believe he was an ex-quarterback. at some point. Maybe that's him. I need to go back and have a look. But yeah, very good talent. I think the situation works well out here. And I'm going to go against a lot of logic here, and I'm going to go and dive down a little bit to Colston Loveland. I think he is the tight end prospect you want. He is a big dude. Straight up, big dude. We like big dudes. 6'5", 21, 250 pounds nearly. Big seam beater, sneaky speed. You're not going to want to tackle him if you're a linebacker. I think that's going to work out great for Caleb Williams going into year 2, year 3. I can't remember what it is, but either way, he's going to be very, very good. At this point, I'm thinking, do a look at Travis Hunter, and still 6. I think it feels a bit too hot here. There is definitely a tier break here. I'm thinking about the availability of players and how they do, what the backfield looks like. And the one that jumps out to me here is Mr. Quinshon Judkins. Let's take a look at him. Going to Cleveland. He is a big, powerful downhill runner, 221 pounds at 5'11". Not oversized. He's big. Ohio State, so he's got good production there as well, in a really, really good conference. So I think Quinshon Judkins is just going to blow Jerome Ford out the water. He's going to be their new Nick Chubb. We might still see Nick Chubb going to the Browns, but Quinshon Judkins is the future. For Dynasty, you're looking ahead over a 3-4 year window maximum for running backs at this age. But yeah, I see him having a lot of talent, and even if he doesn't show it this year as much, maybe it's a bit confusing with the quarterback play, I think he is definitely a very good Dynasty prospect over there. Next, I think at 7 might be the pick. I take Travis Hunter. Yeah, 7 is the pick I'm going to take Travis Hunter, and convention says take him here. He will be great, I think, and I think alongside Brian Thomas Jr., he's going to be the receiver in the end zone more often, and I can see him being very useful for fantasy in that regard. So let's go with him over there, and then I'm going to go and revisit a couple of players that we talked about already. Trevion Henderson is going to be my number 8 player in this list here. Yeah, I know it looks like I'm going to ADP a little bit. Things are balancing out a bit. We're still finding things out. Be interesting to see when this comes out, if this still maps to ADP really well. But currently, in my estimation, that's where he stands. I'm not a huge fan of Ramondre Stevenson. I think Trevion Henderson is a bit more of a multifaceted back. And I think we'll see him play really well with Drake May, who is looking for those consistent targets in his offense. I'm then looking at the competition between these guys. I still think that there is a group of running backs that go quite high. I'm looking at the wide receivers, and a lot of crowded wide receiver rooms here. So I'm actually going to pivot, and I'm going to take a look at tight end Tyler Warren. Yes, he is definitely he went first. He's probably the most talented raw player. I think he is a Kittle type player, run blocker, really big. Again, huge guy, 256 pounds, 6'5". There was not much to pick from these guys, except I think Tyler Warren is much more of a run blocking guy, which makes sense for the Indianapolis Colts, which means he'll be on the field a lot. I feel like this is a Luke Musgrave plus conversation here. The fact he will be on the field will mean he will get opportunities for fantasy. I think he'll be a great pick there at number 9, and he'll be there for a long time. I think these guys are gonna, they're big, they're built to take the hits. I think they're going to be around for a good long while. Team 10 is going to go our number 10 slot here. I think I've got to go Caleb Johnson. I just feel like Jaylen Warren wasn't trusted enough. Caleb Johnson was drafted relatively high. Let's take a look at his thing here. 3rd rounder. He's a big guy. He is the Najee Harris of that group again. Now, the Sonic and Knuckles, that's what you see. I think he has more of... I think it's the Knuckles is going to be the ruler of this backfield rather than the Sonic on this side. I don't think Jaylen Warren necessarily is a Sonic as such, but Caleb Johnson, I think, has a lot of talent there, and that's where I would take him. I'm then looking and staring at a lot of receivers, and you know what? At this point, I probably will, in a single quarterback league, I probably wouldn't go. I'm going to change my pick. My number 10 pick, I'm going to take back, and I'm going to go Cam Ward, simply because the quarterback class is really thin here, and Cam Ward, I think, will be good enough to get you forward. We talked about in our QB episode on the fantasy musings for the off season that QB differentiate the difference between a really good QB and a really bad QB isn't that much when you're talking in the kind of bell curve of it all. There are outliers on both sides. If Cam Ward can fit inside that bell curve, he will be fantastic for you for many years in Dynasty. So that's where he's put in there. I'm then going to put Caleb Johnson here at number 11. And I think at number 12, it's very difficult because a lot of these wide receivers are going into crowded rooms. Egbuka, obviously, going into a crowded room in Tampa Bay. He's going to be number 3. Luther Burden has potentially the best opportunity there, but we've already talked about potentially Colston Loveland being the favoured in there, and Ben Johnson's new toy. We'll have to see what happens there. Jaden Higgins, I like a lot, but going up against Jalen Knoll as well, who's also been taken from Iowa State in the same draft, I probably like the look, best of all, Matthew Golden. And it sounds funny saying that, but if you think about, because you think about all of the receivers in Green Bay, I still think it'll be very confusing. For fantasy, though, and for Dynasty, I think he will make a later season charge. He'll be a bit of a sleeper to start with. He'll establish that room as his own. He's got the diva mentality, which the other guys on that roster do not have. That's where I'll put him here. And from this point at the end of 12, let's recap. Genty, Hampton, McMillan, Harvey, Loveland at 5, Judkins, Hunter at 7, Henderson 8, Warren, Ward, our first QB off the board at 10, 11, Caleb Johnson, and 12, Matthew Golden. That's my first round. I like that first round a lot. And if it went like that, that'd be great. It won't go like that. So we're going to start off the draft properly now and see where the computer puts everyone. Where did it put me? It puts me at number 7. Obviously, it's going to form more so to ADP, but I like some of these picks. Egbuka, we've just talked about. Luther Burden, we've just talked about going 1 and 2 in the second round. Scatterboo, I think it is going to be fantastic. He was my preseason sleeper. I think everyone caught onto that, and he is going to be good. Obviously, I still think that it's not the right place for him. I would have loved him to go to the Steelers or someone like that, and become the guy. Maybe even Arizona if they picked up one. That would have been great as well, to be the heir apparent to James Conner, who he's so similar to. But in New York, he'll be going up against Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy potentially more of the pass catching back, but Cam Scatterbo, you saw him on tape, he does that. Maybe he will become the workhorse they needed. Bit more of a higher draft capital than the 5th round from Tyrone Tracy. Maybe Tyrone Tracy's time will be done, but I think there's going to be competition there. So he fell a little bit into me. I think, second round, 3rd pick makes kind of sense. 15th pick overall. Trey Harris, I'm afraid of taking wide receivers in Los Angeles because I don't know what's going to go on with the Chargers there. Already talked about their backfield. I love Omarion Hampton. I do not like Trey Harris nearly as much. Jaden Higgins, we talked about that as well. I think he is lower on my list because he competes with Knoll. And the pick of the bunch here, I wish I was at 6. Jack Betch. Look at this crazy wide receiver room. Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Dante Taunton, who? Kyle Phillips, who? And the rest of them are just names. There's no one there. Jack Betch could be the guy. He is a bit of an inline blocker. I think he's going to play well with not an inline blocker, sorry, a bit of a fantastic guy in both the pass protection and run protection. He had some issues in college. I think he had family death. Oh god, I need to do my research. But anyway, Jack Betch, I like him. He is my guy. But after this, I'm looking at the board here. Mason Taylor screams out to me. Elijah Aurora, I think, is going to be fantastic. So you know what? In my 107, thinking about the lay of the land here, I'm dropping Dylan Sampson down very low here because I think he's competing against Quinton Judkins. I don't think you can get that. There is lightning in a bottle, have 2 running backs from the same team as he did in college, making quite as much impact. I don't like Devin Neal as much. I don't think they're going to feature him nearly as much. Harold Fannin calls out to me, but I think Terrence Ferguson, if you're looking at a dynasty asset, I think he could be fantastic. Great at college, Oregon player, only 22, 6'5", another 250 kind of guy, drafted relatively high by the Rams. We don't do great on those picks, but yeah, he go there for him. Jalen Knoll going straight after that at the 208. Bishal Tootin, who just can't read that. I don't know what they're doing on offense there. I like Tank Bigsby. I don't know whether that's going to be the right play for them and right play for you in fantasy. Mason Taylor, I think, is a good pick. He was very highly drafted. Second round, the Jets selected the second round of the second draft, 42 overall. I think that was just ahead of Ferguson. yeah, 46 overall for Ferguson. I like Arroyo. I think he is more of a pass catching back, pass catching tight end, and he probably is over Taylor for me. Dylan Sampson, I don't like him at all. There at the end of the second. Then going to the third, you've got Fannin. Milrow, I think, is a great keeper. He will play some point this season. He might be playing packages. He is a great future asset. Jackson Dart, I think maybe he would actually go considerably higher. I think he's going to get starts sooner rather than later for a potentially tanking side in the New York Giants. Quinn Ewers, that's a throwaway pick, and I think the computer's going a bit crazy here. Devon Neal, I do not like at all. Greg Helm, is it Greg Helm? Gunnar Helm. Who's Greg Helm? I don't know. Another 6'5" guy, 240, loads of Tennessee. I think he's going to be another guy. But you know what? I think the only guy when you look getting down to this level, and it's fallen straight to me, Jaden Blue. And if we take a look at the lineup in Dallas, again, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Juice Ford, are you really saying you're hitching your wide yard to that? I don't think you are. I think Jaden Blue has enough talent. I've seen it in the in college tape. He didn't have great production, but he did have great burst. I think that could be his backfield. Shedeur Sanders, yeah, you can pick him. I don't know why they're still picking up Isaiah Bond on this one. He hasn't been picked up by a team. Jalen Royals, I do like. He could be sneaky good. But again, he could also be Sky Moore. We don't know there. Alec Ayamanor, I'm avoiding boring tight ends. You know, you've got, boring Titans, not tight ends. And you've got, is it Ollie? Oronde Godson, another big old tight end joining the Chargers there. There's no one of note there. I don't think that I really, really like. But that said, this could be an interesting draft. But the kind of key guys I'd like to pick later up in the rounds, I like Cam Scatterbo, I like Jack Betch, I like Ferguson, where I picked up in this one. I like Jaden Blue, I like Dart, I love Milrow as well. If you're looking for late round QBs, there's a lot to be liked here. But this is for a single quarterback. Obviously, when you go to Superflex, it goes all over the place. And what we've got here is my current in-flight rookie draft for my main Dynasty league. Yes, of course, I'm in multiple. Am I just going to call myself a content creator? I create content around fantasy football. I'm not a content creator. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to let you know where I'm picking. I'm picking in a 10-man league here, a 203. I've got the 207. Where else am I picking? I am picking at the 305. I'm picking at the 310, I believe. The 404 and the 410 as well. So I've got late round picks. I'm being Les Snead in his prime here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the draft and I'm going to claim my next pick, which is 4, I guess. And what I'll do is I will just stop it where I feel like it. And we'll go from there and see what picks would we make here. This is a two quarterback league, and for those of you listening on audio, we've already gone through 6 picks: Ashton Genty, Cam Ward, Amarian Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Tyler Warren. That Tyler Warren pick was a really interesting one because the person who picked up that team only has 1 pick. I probably would have gone Loveland. He's got faith in him. He's seen the tape. I like that. And then number 6, a bit high for my stakes, but Travis Hunter went 6. We'll see what happens with some of the rest of these picks here. Quinton Judkin goes. And we're going to pause it when we get to my pick here. And we'll pause the draft full stop, actually. We'll see what happens here. Straight away, the team that I think will go, and the best player available on the board at 7 is Tetairoa McMillan. Even in the 2 quarterback league, we're going to see them go later. I think what we'll end up seeing is Dart and Milrow push up a little bit, but that's about it. I don't see the quarterbacks being affected too much. I can really only see 1 in the first round in a 10-man league, maybe only 1 in a 12-man league as well. Quinton Judkin could go next. Yes, he's my next best prospect. Caleb Johnson, I can see that working for number 9 here. Number 9 in the actual scheme of things has Blake Corum, Saquon Barkley, and Swift, and Javonte Williams. Needs a running back. Needs a running back, full stop. So you can see them going for someone who is going to get a lot of volume. I think Caleb Johnson's going to get a lot of volume. Works out as well. Number 10 needs a bit of wide receiver and running back depth. I probably would have gone RJ Harvey there. I think that's probably where he will go as well. Loveland going at the top of the first makes a lot of sense. He's my favourite tight end there. RJ Harvey. Jackson Dart going 203, which leaves me with where I would go. And I'm not really sure where I go. I need running back support, guys, and just so you're aware, my team at running back looks like Will Shipley, Zach Charbonnet, backups, Jameer Gibbs and Devon Aiken. I've got the 1-2 pairing at the front there, maybe only beaten by whoever's got Saquon Barkley there, but I think I just have to go for a running back here, and it does drop off pretty quickly after those first few guys, just mainly by positioning. So I'd be going Cam Scatterbo. I love him. You know, I hope someone else falls to me. I would really hope that RJ Harvey falls to me. I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm going to just get the computer to pick a next couple until I get to what would be my next pick, which is the 307. Golden goes next. I like that a lot for Team 5. Byshol Tootin, and then leaves me at 107. I think even at 207, at 207 with those crowded wide receiver rooms elsewhere, I'm going Jack Betch. It's a done deal for me. He's going to be a fantastic player, and he's going to get on my squad. I'm then going to let it roll a little bit. I think I've got the 4 spot next. Sorry, I'm going between two computers here because, you know, technology. I'm at the 4 spot in the 3rd round, so we'll do some auto picks there. People have already talked about Jalen Milroe goes the end of the 2nd here. I think that's wise. I was potentially thinking Milroe at the top of the key in the 2nd round instead of Scatterbo, but I just thought there was such a drop off at running back. I then have my pick of the litter. I could go, you know, Shadur Sanders, Tyler Shirk. I potentially would have loved to have Jalen Milroe, and I think when it's all balanced out, Jalen Milroe will slip a bit further, and I will take him. But in this scenario, I am probably looking at Terrence Ferguson. I think he's my number 3. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Terrence Ferguson, he's my number 3 tight end, and he just so happens to be a Ram as well. I then have, once again, I think I've got a 7 pick in this next round. Let's have a look at it here. No, I don't. I've got the 10 pick. Taylor, Shadur Sanders, Tyler Shirk, Sampson, who I do not like, Arroyo, who I would have liked, Harold Fannin, and then I've just got my pick of the list, and I've already talked about it. Jaden Blue, get on my team. I love that as well. You're gonna go there. I'll then let it play out in the 4th round, see what happens, and what I would have got in the 4th and 10th spot. Who falls to me? Oh, I do get to actually pick at the 4th spot, so that's good. Tevin Neal, Ollie Gordon is interesting because I obviously have A-Chan. Would I look for a bit of protection there? Put him on my taxi squad. Oh, don't forget about your taxi squad, guys. That's something that you really should be thinking about. But I think Will Howard might actually get some reps. He wasn't bad in college. Ohio State, obviously, they didn't ask him to do a huge amount. I'm quite interested in that. But I think for the actual what I would do, I think I probably would go Ollie Gordon and just give myself a little bit of protection against Devin A-Chan, who I traded away elsewhere, just being the lightest person in the universe. It's then given me Evans at the end of the 4th, but you guys can see it on here. Just for those of you who are listening on audio only, after Ollie Gordon, Devin Neal, Gadsden, Hewers, Howard goes there, Rourke, Evans. There's still plenty of guys available on there as well. But if I can come out of this draft with, you know, 2nd round picks, being my highs with Cam Scatterbo, with Jack Betch or Jalen Milroe there, if I can come out with Ferguson, if I can come out with Jaden Blue and Ollie Gordon, I would be a very happy man. But let's hope that is the case. And that is your lot, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully this has worked well. And because I can see my camera is struggling a little bit for frame rate, but hopefully, if not, the audio is true regardless. Thank you so much for listening, watching, all of that fun stuff. If you want to follow, like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff at Rugby with Pads on all of the socials. You can also support the pod, rugbywithpads.com for a little £1. Get yourself some discounted merch because of that as well, and it really helps support the pod. But if you want to support us, just drop us a like. That's all we need. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Hope your rookie drafts go well. Hope this doesn't age poorly, and I will see you soon on the Virtual Gridiron.